We talk a lot about psychopaths, sociopaths, and antisocial personality disorder, of course, being the formal diagnosis, but sociopaths and psychopaths really being folks who have a lack of empathy and have no problem trotting on the rights of others. As we like to say on this podcast, sociopaths are a charming mask hiding a cold heart. Psychopaths versus sociopaths, there's not a technical difference.
You're a bloody psychopath.
High-functioning sociopath.
But it's come to a lot of common usage that a psychopath is sociopath plus. There's something extra gory, extra disturbing, extra violent, or even extra sexually violent about someone who is a psychopath. And I would say in this case here, the Hugh Grant character is a psychopath. He really takes pleasure in having intricate ways to impinge on the rights of these women and of others. And I would even say that he's got a level of sadism. Now, sadism is a concept where a person actually derives pleasure, significant pleasure, from inflicting pain, physical or psychological, on others.
You know the difference between a dentist and a sadist, don't you? Newer magazines.
You can see where sadism and sociopathy overlap. But in the technical formal definition of sadism disorder, there's a sexual component. It's actually in the paraphilias or the sexual deviant disorders in the DSM-5. He doesn't qualify exactly for that because there wasn't a significant sexual component of this, but he definitely derived his pleasure, his psychological and intellectual pleasure, from the torturing of others.
Yeah, and we certainly don't see it. We might be able to glean it. You know, he talks in the beginning about how they feel about polygamy. It's the first question that he asks them. So it's hard for me to believe that, like, in some way he doesn't see those women as his wives.
How do you feel about polygamy? How do you feel about the concept of a man having multiple wives?
I could see there being a sexual component. It's all women, but you're right. We don't see, any like sexual assault. But I don't think it's a crazy step to make. Psychopaths and sociopaths make sense, and I love that distinction that you make, even though it's not really an official distinction between psychopaths and sociopaths. But it's that lack of empathy. What is it in the brain or in a person that pushes them beyond that to deriving joy from the misery of others?
We don't completely know. It probably has something to do with the dysfunction of the neural network around the reward pathways. So we've talked about dopamine is a significant neurotransmitter implicated in reward and in pleasure. So it's got something to do with that. We don't know exactly what the trigger is that pushes somebody into that. Trauma has been implicated, of course. The problem with breaking down, hey, this is the thing that makes somebody a sadist, this is the thing that makes somebody a sociopath, is that lots and lots and lots of people experience trauma or experience significant events and then don't end up becoming a sadist or a psychopath. It goes back to the concept of your genes plus your experiences combined end up with these presentations of behaviors and character.
Is sadism specifically a sexual disorder, or is it just a brain disorder?
Yes, the answer is yes to both of those. We're sexual beings. The largest sexual organ in the body is the brain, where we experience all,
Not on my body. That's terrible.
But
terrible joke.
Terrible
Stupid.
joke.
I probably won't edit that out just because I, want to be called out.
Everybody knows how ridiculous that is. But
nice.
So, anyways, that's where pleasure, that's where sensation comes from. So, yes, it's a brain disorder in the sexual realm.
You can't be a sadist without being a psychopath, right?
Maybe. I have to think about that. I mean, the overlap is so close. I think, have I met somebody who met criteria for sexual sadism that didn't meet criteria for antisocial personality disorder? None come to mind.
Right.
So I think technically you can if you parse out the criteria, but there's a significant amount of overlap.
Okay, this is an awful question, but a disorder is defined as getting in the way of your ability to function in society,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, spheres, yeah. Mm-hmm.
There could be a sadist who impinges on people's rights, but it doesn't affect their ability to operate in society.
I mean, it does, because they're committing crime. They're committing crimes by infringing on the rights of others. Just because they haven't gotten caught yet doesn't mean that it's not impacting their ability to function in society.
Gotcha. Okay. That's, and I know that was a silly question. But,
No,
you know,
it's a great definition question. It's a good to poke around the edges of these diagnostic structures, because that's where you find the holes, and that's where you find, hey, this is how we need to refine it. That's why there's 5 versions of the DSM, and there will always be more, because we're still figuring this stuff out.
Yeah. I still love the idea of downloadable side quests for the DSM-5.
There are, yeah. The DSM just came out with the text revision. Not enough new information has happened that there's a DSM-6. You know what? Some of the stuff that we wrote in the DSM-5, we know has our understanding of it has changed. So let's put out a slightly different version.
What are some of the things that pointed you towards him being a sadist in this?